Okay, so let's get into this. We have a whole stack of sources in front of us. Articles, some analysis, a few technical blogs, and they all seem to be pointing at one thing: the launch of a new visual editor from Cursor.
Hmm.
But if you're thinking this is just another, design tool update, our mission today is to show you why it's not.
Right.
The sources are suggesting this is fundamentally reshaping the entire workflow, the path between requirements, design, and what actually goes live. It feels like more than just a feature.
It really is. There's this feeling that something genuinely shifted this week in product development.
Yeah.
And, some innovations don't just add a step to what you're already doing. They don't just give you another layer.
They reveal a new path.
They reveal a completely new path. And for anyone whose job it is to take an idea from a conversation to a live interface, well, this is about to change how you think about your work. We're watching the ground move.
I want to jump right into what Cursor actually launched, because I think the how is really key here.
Yeah.
The sources talk about a visual editor that brings the live web app, its code, and the editing tools all into a single window.
Yes.
And on the surface, that sounds convenient, but it feels deeper. It's like they're physically collapsing the distance between an idea and the reality of it.
They are collapsing that distance. I mean, if you look at the mechanism, the strategic shift it's profound because it moves us away from static mockups completely.
Okay. Good.
Completely. The core difference is that these tools don't operate on a picture. They're not looking at a screenshot. They are loading a real web page. They understand its underlying DOM structure, its styles, its logic.
And then you can just change it.
And then you can make changes directly in that rendered interface. And the system is smart enough to write or update the code that corresponds to that change.
Can we just pause on that DOM part for a second?
Mm-hmm.
Because for someone listening who might be a business analyst or a product owner, why is dealing with the live DOM so important? What's the hurdle they cleared there?
It's the difference between looking at a photograph of an engine and having the keys to the engine itself.
Oh, okay.
A Figma file or any traditional mockup is a presentation. It shows you what the page will look like. It's a blueprint.
Right.
The DOM, though, that's the structural, logical heart of the web page. When you interact with the DOM, you're interacting with the actual state, the logic, the data flow. So by letting you edit visually within that living structure, they bridge that huge cognitive gap between the picture and the complex reality.
So we're moving from just an abstraction
Mm-hmm.
to direct dynamic reality.
Right.
The sources use these great metaphors for that. They say we're shifting from blueprints versus light and from static maps versus the living sea.
That's exactly the gap this closes. A blueprint can be beautiful, but it's inflexible, right? You spend all your time arguing about how to interpret it. But the living sea analogy, it means the interface is now this constant flowing reality. The discussion about the product is happening on the product in real time, in its true context.
So the interface stops being a deliverable you hand off.
It stops being a deliverable and becomes a conversational partner that you're continuously shaping.
But hold on, that sounds a bit too simple. If I'm a product manager dealing with, say, a super complex form or dynamic data that relies on back-end calls, how do I trust that a visual editor is handling all that logic correctly? Isn't there a risk of creating, visual debt?
That's a crucial question. And the sources address this by focusing on the integrated AI agent. The AI isn't just guessing.
Okay.
It's running in parallel with the code base. It takes your prompt, your visual instruction, and it finds the exact component in your code. It understands the context of that component, and it proposes changes that respect the framework you're using, whether that's React or Vue or something else.
So a human still checks the code.
A human still reviews and approves the changes before they're committed, but the generation of those changes is instant.
Which brings us to the two killer features the sources keep highlighting. First, this rearrange with drag and drop.
Yes, and this is where visual design and coding finally kind of unify. You can literally swap the order of buttons on a page, test a new grid layout, just by dragging things around on the screen.
And the AI is just writing the code for you.
The AI agent is updating the CSS, the HTML, the component positioning. It completely eliminates that need to switch context between the browser, your code editor, and a design file, just to see if a different layout works.
And then the second one, this point and prompt feature, that feels even more powerful. It's all about natural language.
It is. You can click on any element and just describe what you want. You click a sidebar and say, make this background darker. You click a button and say, change this to our secondary brand color.
At the same time.
At the same time, the sources confirm the agents run in parallel. They process all these different requests concurrently, and the changes are live in seconds. It totally elevates the human's job to just articulating intent, not getting stuck in the mechanics of how to do it.
Okay, let's connect that elevating intent to the roles that have always struggled with interpretation. The business analyst, the project owner.
Absolutely.
If the interface is now live and editable, the old handoff process, it's basically being dismantled, isn't it?
Completely. The analysis in the sources suggests this shift is happening most powerfully right there in requirements shaping. I mean, for decades, the problem has been that mockups are static abstractions.
Yeah.
They're disconnected from the real behavior of the product, especially with complex states or error handling. That classic handoff UX makes a Figma. It goes to dev, then a BA checks it. It's a massive bottleneck where context is just lost.
We've all been there. We wanted X, but dev built Y because the mockup didn't show what happens when the user isn't logged in.
Precisely. And now this creates a whole new category of tool, the executable requirements prototype.
An executable prototype.
Think about what that means for a BA. They can validate requirements not through a static picture that requires imagination, but through a live interface that stakeholders can actually feel and interact with. It just dramatically reduces that ambiguity between what we meant and what got built.
So you're not just accelerating design, you're accelerating consensus.
That's it. And the sources say this is leading to a new kind of role,
Right.
the business interface architect, or as they also call it, the navigator.
And this role isn't about writing code from scratch.
No, it's not a deep coding role. It's code aware, but it's fundamentally navigational. This is the person who can sit in a stakeholder review, see a problem on the screen, reverse engineer that UI in minutes, make the change right there, and ask, is this what you meant?
So their value isn't in writing documents, it's in creating instant clarity.
That is the crucial insight. This new architect role unifies analysis, UX logic, and light implementation into one. Just one fluid motion. They're shaping the product's front line and cutting out all the lag and context loss that kills agility.
And let's talk about the business gain, because the sources use this phrase, a colossal reduction in the cost of changes. That's the language executives care about.
It is, and the numbers here are maybe the most staggering part of this. The sources estimate that the total cycle time for minor revisions or fixes drops by a factor of 3 to 7.
3 to 7 times.
Let's make that real for you.
Yeah.
Think about your weekly sprint review.
Okay.
Instead of a small fix taking 30 minutes in Figma, then a day or two for development, then another day for QA, a chain that eats up, 3 to 5 days.
Right.
We're now talking about a stakeholder finding an issue at a 10 a.m. meeting. The business interface architect opens the editor, uses point and prompt, and by 10.15, the change is validated, the code is generated, and the ticket is basically closed.
That's the difference between waiting a week and getting it done during a coffee break.
Exactly. It makes changes inexpensive. And that's critical because when iteration is cheap, innovation accelerates. Teams stop limiting their ideas. They can validate concepts instantly in the live product and focus their real energy on the hard, high-value problems.
This momentum, of course, it leads to the big question. Is this the end of Figma?
The inevitable question.
And we need to address that respectfully because the source material is actually very careful here.
It's vital to frame this not as an Figma killer thing, but as a shift in, let's call it operational gravity. Figma has an enduring place, but its center of operation is moving away from the day-to-day web product team.
So where does it remain essential? The cartographer's tool, as one source called it.
It's essential where pure craft, aesthetics, and deep conceptual work are the priority. So branding, identity systems, motion design, high-fidelity R&D for new concepts.
Before any code gets written.
Exactly, before coding. And it's still the clear winner for anything that's not a web product native, mobile apps, AR, VR, things like that. It's still the best place to define the visual language.
So if you're deciding on your brand's color palette, that's Figma. But if you're arguing about where a filter panel should go, that discussion is moving.
Correct. For the everyday web team focused on speed, Figma becomes a studio for visual components, not the operational core. The sources use that amazing contrast.
The lighthouse.
Figma is the lighthouse blueprint. It shows you the ideal structure. But Cursor is the act of turning the light on, watching how it falls across the sea, and adjusting it instantly.
That perfectly captures it, the difference between planning and actually navigating.
Yes. Figma designs the boat. Cursor is about steering the boat. So no, Figma isn't dying. But its era as the central operational tool for product development is ending for teams that prioritize speed and live validation.
Which, if we synthesize all of this, the bigger implication isn't just about tools. It's about the philosophy of the AI that's powering it. This brings us to the guiding AI lens.
This is where we zoom out. This shift positions AI as an illuminator, a partner, not an authoritarian commander that dictates the outcome. The core idea running through all the sources is this: technology does not command the journey. It illuminates the choices we already hold.
So the AI isn't automating the business interface architect, it's just empowering them to focus entirely on intent.
Precisely. This moves us beyond relying on static artifacts like outdated mockups or dense documentation into a state of what you could call living modeling.
Living modeling.
The requirements are no longer sitting outside the system in some document. They become executable artifacts that are part of the system itself.
And the sources defined a new, simpler process for this.
They did. It's a continuous loop.
Yeah.
See A-shape, validate, illuminate. These tools just help teams operate closer to their natural rhythm by cutting out friction and increasing flow. The focus for the human shifts completely from executing mechanics to just articulating the desired outcome with clarity.
And if the AI is handling the code updates based on that intent, then the cognitive gap between the idea and the implementation, it just collapses.
That's the ultimate takeaway. UI work, especially for the web, is becoming code first, no matter who is driving the changes. Product development will start to look a lot more like live conversational modeling than the old siloed life cycle. And this is a revolution for business analysis and for product leadership. The AI reduces that separation, allowing leaders to stay firmly at the helm.
They're the navigators.
They're the navigators. The AI provides the light and the ability to instantly adjust the course.
That's a powerful way to frame this. The human remains the lighthouse, defining the intent, and AI is that wave of light that helps them see farther. A companion, not the captain.
Absolutely. So we've looked at the shift from static maps to living interfaces, the rise of the business interface architect, and why this all changes the economics of product work. So now we want to ask you, the listener, to think about where your own workflows are still hindered by these old practices.
Where in your workflow do static maps still limit your team's speed and clarity?
Are you ready to navigate the living sea of real interfaces where making a big change can take minutes, not days? That's really the choice that product teams have to confront in this new era of guiding AI.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We encourage you to explore this new paradigm and to see just how quickly you can move from pure intent to shipped reality. We'll see you next time.